Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, moms and dads, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, cousins, of course, and mops and pops, or if you prefer, grandmas and grandpas, and baseball fans everywhere. Welcome to the second week of the Valley Baseball League's video podcast. So, in the process of continuing the conversation and continuing to explore the league, I am really excited to be able to introduce you to Chaz Weaver. Some of you may already know him because of his book, The Valley League, but he has graciously agreed to join us here today. And Chaz, I think it's better if you tell everyone kind of how you got involved in this and explain like where'd the book come from and how'd you get involved in the league?
Yeah, it's kind of I don't know, interesting story maybe. A little personal. I got divorced several years ago. Had some time on my hands. Usually I was out with my daughter running around, picking her up and everything, and all of a sudden I had a little more time on my hands. So one of her questions, I guess she started it was, she was young, and asked a lot of questions, and I thought that was a good opportunity to kind of show her, this is how, you research things at the library with microfiche and stuff like that. And it was kind of cool for her. She was really young, so she hadn't seen that before. And we were just both, into baseball, obviously. And those were some of the questions that we had. Was when did the league start? What about this? What about that? She was good at asking questions, and it just kind of occurred to me, man, I would like to read a book about the VBL. Let's just go in here. This is how you look up books at the library. And it just came up blank. And it was like, wow, I'm really kind of surprised as long as the league's been here, like 100 years, that they just don't have any, written history. So, yeah, I guess just being a kind of a geeky baseball fan, writing things down, it got to the point where it's like, wow, we could probably write a book.
Yeah, well, let's do this. Let's talk about just how much of a geeky baseball fan you are. When I went looking for you on the internet, I had to kind of double check myself 2 or 3 times. You're a fairly prolific guy. What would you say your top 10 publications are outside of the Valley Baseball League's book?
I don't know. You may have come across a different one. This is my only book.
Yeah, but you've written some other stuff, right? When I looked at your, you have a list of publications when I looked at your CV.
Oh, gotcha. For work, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I do have opportunity at VDOT to work on some technical papers. It's a lot more. Um, it's not a subject matter for everybody, certainly.
Right. Yeah. Do me a favor, if you don't
Okay.
mind. Tell everybody what are the other papers or other publications that you've written about?
Oh, let's see. The latest one, I guess, is about geosynthetics and their use in pavement design. I work at VDOT as a materials engineer, pavement designer. So that one is about using geosynthetics to help increase the life cycle of roadways to lower the amount of tax that we have to use and to increase the length of their life cycles. And we've written things about our Interstate 81 recycling project. Um, yeah, just had a lot of opportunities to do that kind of thing at VDOT.
Yeah. Well, so kind of paint a picture for me. So how did you go from that VDOT to writing about the Valley League? Was it just driven by the questions your daughter was asking?
And the things, that I watched the Turks, when I was really little, got to see them play like the Braves, the Waynesboro Generals, all the old 80s and 90s teams. And I just, have, I guess, a sense of curiosity. Like my wife calls me a nerd. It's just that simple. When I get interested in something, well, when did this team start? Well, how did this league even start? Who was the best hitter? A lot of baseball fans are kind of that way. Who's got the best OBP? Who was the best pitcher, who had the most strikeouts. So that was kind of something that interested me. And like I said, it's, I guess, been an obsession here recently.
Yeah, no, I get it. So take me back to the very beginning, and tell me what's the first memory you have of the Valley League?
Oh boy. I'd say going to games with my father in Harrisonburg, going to the old stadium there, Veterans Memorial, and then going with my friend Marshall Austin. When we as soon as we could drive, that was where we wanted to go. That's where we would go hang out. He was a neighbor of mine, very close. But instead of just hanging out at our houses with parental supervision, as soon as he could drive, we went out to Harrisonburg for all those games. So that's probably the earliest. My earliest recollection is actually RCBL, Rockingham County Baseball League.
Mm-hmm.
My dad taking me to those, and we'd park just short of the left field foul line, back up, put the tailgate down, and watch some baseball at Clover Hill.
So you came to this publication entirely as a fan. Did you have anyone play in the league?
No, nope.
So take me, for people who don't know, how would you describe this book?
It's really an attempt to, put everything down and succinctly put it down on paper, what the history of the league is. I tried to capture some statistics, like I said, most home runs, most RBIs, that kind of thing as I went along, but it's really trying to organize the history of the league. The league went through a lot of different evolutions, I guess. That break during World War II. Teams came in and joined, left. Some of them came back. It was just a compendium of league history.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about the process of writing it. How long did it take you to research? What did you have to go through to be able to compile all these facts?
For the book, probably about a year and a half of research, if I'm remembering correctly. A lot of trips to the JMU Library, the Massanutten Regional, Winchester, Waynesboro, Charlottesville. A lot of trips to different libraries, looking at the microfiche, ruining my eyes to figure out as much as I could. The actual writing, this isn't. I don't want to sit here and say it's not a great book. It's going to be a little dry. It's baseball history. I'm not a super great storyteller. Honestly, there wasn't a whole lot of room in this book to put in a lot of the stories. It's bare bones. These are the teams. Here are the records.
Right.
That's it.
Now, yeah, well, to me, it's a great resource. Let's take a minute and talk a little bit about the interruption in the Valley League play around World War II, and kind of fast forward to now with the league's been suspended because of the COVID-19.
Yeah.
So there will be no games in 2020. What's your take on that, having gone through and looked at the World War II era, and then kind of fast forwarding to what your experience is now?
Yeah, back as early as 42, I think it was Connie Mack that said, the lower minor leagues are not going to survive this. It's, going to go on for years and, lose that organization. And the same thing happened in the RCBL and the Valley League. They were down for a number of years. It took a while to get started back up. I think the difference now is that they're so organized. I think they'll pick back up if we lose the whole season this year. I think they're going to pick right back up in 2021. And I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue. I don't know all the inner workings of the teams and what their plans are, obviously. I think this is a vastly different thing back in World War II. I actually mentioned to my buddy Marshall, I was talking about, this must have been, must be a whole lot like what it was being a kid back in World War II when all the sports got shut down.
Right.
You really have no, empathy at all. You just read it, and yeah, that makes sense. Then when you live through it, it's a totally different thing.
Totally different thing. A friend of mine came across an article, and I'll put the link in with this YouTube video. Came across an article from Axios about baseball in the 1918 during the Spanish flu.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a picture of players at the plate wearing face masks. But so based on what you know about the league, you're expecting that, to be just kind of the the league will be able to get right back into action, and just in given the fact that it's so well organized right now.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main differences. Where our teams are a lot more stable. They're organized much better, seems to me, and I just think they'll pop right back into it. Back in World War II, the organization was a lot more fluid, a little less organized. And there's going to be baseball in this area. We all hope it's summer baseball survives some of these things that we're looking at with the changes MLB wants to make with minor leagues and things like that. But there's always been, since baseball was invented, practically there's always been baseball in this region. So I don't think we have to worry about that.
Yeah, let's dive into that a little bit. I hear varying dates. Baseball dates back to 1866, according to some. The league is said to have started as early as 1897 and is, in fact, by some considered older than the American League, although sometimes the current Valley League is considered to have started in the 1920s. What's your answer to when did the league actually start? Where do you draw the line?
Like any good answer from a baseball person, it depends. The first baseball team in this area in the Shenandoah Valley was in Stanton in 1866. They bragged about that for a couple weeks, so Harrisonburg had to develop their own team, and then they had to play. The first mention of a Valley Baseball League was in 1897. That was an experiment that happened one year. Didn't flow into the next year, and like you said, didn't get picked back up again until 1922 by other people. So whether you count that year or not, it's an easy way to say, hey, it's been here for over this many hundred years. But it's probably not. That 1897 year probably isn't really part of the certainly the overall league.
Right. So I'm curious. So one of the books about the your book is entitled "The Valley Baseball League." Let's cover a little bit. Where can people get this if they wanted to read it now?
Lulu.com, and just search Chaz Weaver.
All right, Lulu, LU, and then just out
available on Amazon. It's honestly, you just search the title and you'll be able to find it.
Got it.
It's available on printed and I guess the electronic version.
And just so people can plan for it, what are you charging?
I think it's about $15 for the one you're holding in your hand.
All right,
the electronic I think is $8, like the Kindle version. I think is $8.
Gotcha. So Austin Gisrael wrote Safe at Home. Your book's copywritten 2014. His is copywritten 2010. Did you get a chance to meet Austin at all, or did you?
I did at a book signing in Winchester, I think. We had booths right beside each other. So I've met him. Really great guy. Follow all of his baseball works and some of his fiction. I got the chance to review his novel before it came out. Both really, really good. Yeah, I think I follow him on Twitter and things like that. He stays pretty close to the game.
Yeah, he's been pretty prolific. So when I read his book, I really get a sense from 2014 to 2019, just taking out this season. Obviously, there's nothing to talk about here. But in those 5 years, the league's changed dramatically. And that's just me looking over 5 years of league history. When you consider the perspective you have, I mean, this league seems to kind of change pretty quickly. And
yeah,
more. We've had a number of teams that have come and gone. What's your take on, kind of the trajectory of the league?
Like I said, I think we're a little more stable at this point. It's great to have Charlottesville back. When I actually wrote the book, it was I think the year before Charlottesville came back. So that's not in there. Like you said, we've had tons of teams. We had Bridgewater. Luray has been in and out over the history. Shenandoah, Madison, teams like that. And I think some of that, is the money. It was difficult at times to raise the funds to keep it going, to recruit the players and and the equipment, things like that. The locations haven't really been much of an issue. You've had teams like Craigsville, Linville, Elkton, in smaller parks. I don't think that's necessarily an issue, and there's definitely a fan base here in the
Mhm.
valley. I just think it's a bigger business now, and it takes a lot more organization. So the teams that and I hope we don't lose anyone. We lost Rockbridge not too long ago. I was sorry to see them go because that was a fantastic stadium down there at Washington and Lee. But I think we're just a little more stable now because of the organization and what it takes to run a team.
Yeah, well, so one of the things we recently talked to Bruce Alger, and one of the discussions we had is the idea of getting a 12th team.
Mm.
Bruce made mention that 10 is really the ideal number of teams for this particular league. But if we could get a 12th team, we get it. Any ideas where a 12th team might best fit in?
Boy, I'm not sure logistically or money wise, but like I said, Washington and Lee, if they're willing to let somebody play at that park, that was a great park to go to. Uh,
Right.
they're already traveling all the way to Covington now, so it's Lexington's really not that far. It's definitely in the valley. It's a historic VBL team, so yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. I don't know if 10 is perfect. Being a selfish baseball fan, I wouldn't mind seeing two divisions of 10 each. That'd be
Yeah,
all
there you
right.
go. Yeah, I like the way you think. Hey, so what do you think? Can you give me, we're going to have to wrap this up in a few minutes, but could you give me like your top three things that people just don't know about this league? What are the big, best kept secrets?
Well, I may be giving something away here, but I've been working on some more statistics. Like I said, the book I tried to grab what I could, but it's certainly not 100% correct. I have found I think there was we lose a lot of our history, when the sports editor changes at the Daily News Record or a different paper. I think one of the hidden gems is Fred Caswell from Waynesboro. I mean, this guy could flat out hit. I don't know if the pitching was bad in the 50s or you know or what was going on there. This guy, I think you'll be surprised to see some of his stats. I'm hoping to put something out with the league, something maybe electronic, maybe a record book, that kind of thing. We're working on getting all the electronic records so we can cover many years and as much statistics as we can get. But I think that's the big thing for me is Fred Caswell.
All
There,
right,
there are a
Fred
couple,
Caswell.
pretty incredible stories that I hope to put in there. Dennis Clow, I'm not sure. This is a problem that you get when you only read newspapers. Um, Guy played for Winchester, played 19 games, hit 15 homers. It's
Wow.
just ridiculous, and you never hear because this was back in the 80s. And like I said, we kind of lose our history orally a little bit. But there are a couple hitters like that you look at it and think that's a typo.
Yeah, somebody put an extra number in there somewhere, right?
Right, right.
Yeah. Well, I'm just curious. Last year, and this game's up on YouTube, we had I forget who the Braves were playing, but they went into the ninth. I think we were down 9-1, bottom of the ninth, and rallied back to tie it 9-9, and then went on to win six. I think it ended up 16-9 or something like that in extra innings. Definitely some craziness that takes place in the Valley. Anything that you weren't able to cover in the book that you wish you could have gotten to, or just couldn't find the facts?
Oh,
Or
always. There's always something in having to get everything from the papers. I missed the guy's perfect game. He emailed me later and said, "Hey, man, what's up here?" So he'll be in the record book. A lot of great hitters that, for whatever reason, weren't covered very well. I was able to find some information on that. I think I've got some, like I said, a lot more stats, more statistics, um, MVPs, All Star games, things like that. Just some of the holes in the book that I wasn't able to find. I think I've been able to find it now, or at least fill up some of those holes.
all right, well, terrific. Well, I can tell you are a serious baseball fan. What are you going to do this summer without baseball? How are you going to fill the void?
I don't know, honestly. I don't know. I'm hoping I can get this data from the VBL's the guys that do the box scores and everything electronically, because that will, now I've got plenty of time to do that. Wade through that and hopefully edit this next record book. Other than that, man, I don't know. We're about halfway through college baseball, and it's different.
It's different. It is different. Well, listen, Chaz, I am indebted to you for joining us. I actually work with John Leonard some on the website, and we'll connect after this, and I'll see if I can't connect you up with that data. Really indebted to you. I encourage everybody to go out and get the Valley League. Chaz Weaver. We'll put up your information. I'll send him a link, and forever indebted to you. And I look forward to talking to you more about the Valley League at the next opportunity.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
All right, Chaz. Thanks for making time for us. Have a great afternoon.
All right, you too.